Namaste and welcome to Vivekananda Yoga University, Vayu, the first yoga university outside India doing graduate education research. And this is our esteemed distinguished speaker series. And we are delighted and honored to have Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishiji today as our esteemed speaker. Let me just introduce our esteemed speaker, Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishiji. And again, let's see if I do justice to his awesome bio. But we are delighted and honored to have a Vedic astrologer, a poet, a linguist, a philosopher with us today who has seen life from various lenses, if I may. He has formal training in psychology, history, and comparative religion and literature. He has been a monk for 5 years. So he's seen that life as a monk. He has been a corporate executive in Silicon Valley and a motivational speaker. And for the past 40 plus years, he has devoted really his life to sharing this whole Vedic knowledge to the worldwide audience. So really an esteemed speaker today. And for the past 12 years, Jeffrey has focused on linguistics, specifically on decolonization of Sanskrit Vedic texts. So again, that's kind of the theme for today. This research led him to write the first decolonized Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive, which is one of his really flagship projects. He's currently working on a second book, working 108 Sanskrit words that will expand your worldview. So this upcoming work will further dismantle colonial interpretations and clarify the Sanatan Dharma worldview, free from Christian terms such as Lord, God, heaven, hell, and so on. So in today's talk, which is titled Decolonization of Language, Empowering the Next Generation, Jeffrey highlights the urgent need to decolonize the English language used to describe Vedic Sanatan Dharma culture. He reveals how colonial-era distortions have misrepresented this ancient culture and calls on the next generation to reclaim its authentic narrative. This talk inspires youth to become proud ambassadors of their heritage and to lead a cultural renewal or Vedic Renaissance. So again, this is my brief introduction of this esteemed speaker. Jeffrey Ji, the floor is yours. Thank you for your time. Namaste. Welcome.
Lovely to be with you, Prashant. Thank you for all your doing, and it's really a great joy to do Seva with you. Today's deepest inquiry, I look for just the right words because language is one of those subjects which, because we use it all the time, we may not have gotten to a stage of perfection in its use, especially with the English language. So if one speaks the English language a great deal, English is one of the least precise, in terms of its meanings, languages in existence. It's a hodgepodge of languages that came about when the British colonized the world and took a little bit from everybody. And so that entered into English. They added a couple of thousand Latin words at one time so it could be precise. Give you an example. The forearm in English is called the forearm, but the Latin for that, the doctors use, is extensor digitorum profundus. That's the same as forearm, but it's Latin, so it's more precise. Extensor digitorum profundus. So it is with Sanskrit, which was the mother language for Latin and Greek. And once we really understand, Samskritam means the most perfect language. The language that has been perfected and is precise and does not deviate from that precision. And as you can well imagine, in the early stages of the Vedic culture being colonized, that was the last thing that most Westerners wanted. They wanted the wealth. They still have it in their museums. I, by the way, vote that the British should give back the things they stole from Bharat. Take them out of their museum, send them back with a note that says, sorry, we were having a bad time. But The real problem is also English, because if we're not careful and we don't use English correctly, then we'll act as if English words have the same profound meaning as Sanskrit words. A good example is the word soul in English. But what is a soul? According to whom? And what does the word soul mean? Well, it's actually from the Latin sol, which means the sun. So they're trying to say it's the part of us that's shining bright like the sun. Well, that's not bad. Atma says that too, in a different way. Atma says, atome is the Latin that came from Atma, and it means you can't cut it. Well, that's what the Bhagavad Gita says. You can't cut it, you can't burn it, you can't destroy it. The Atma is indestructible. So each of these Sanskrit words requires a precise definition. And if you call the Atma the soul, again, that's not as precise as atome. It's this particle of Brahman that can't be cut, can't be burned. It's not from Prakriti, it's from Brahman. And so when we realize that we're the Atma, we say, Aham, I am. Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. But isn't it the case that everyone here within matter is behaving as if they're the body? They call this me. No, this isn't me. If I call this shirt me, you laugh. No, this is a shirt that I have put on my body. And I am whom? And this is where the Sanskrit comes in. I'm an Atma. Can an Atma be destroyed? No. Ever? No. Can it die? No. And the Bhagavad Gita is full of discussion on these very subjects, because that's called Vedanta. Vedanta. That is to say, that which is the destination or final conclusive destination of the Veda is a section of the Veda called Vedanta. The Bhagavad Gita is a part of Vedanta. So is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So is the Ashtadhyayi of Panini. Various texts. So the most important thing at the beginning of our conversation to understand is that the Sanskrit language is Samskritam, the most perfect language. And our goal with this talk today is empowering proud Vedic ambassadors with confidence and precision in representing the Vedic Library across the globe. In other words, part of a university education for anyone who's a practitioner of the Vedic culture should be learning which English words are unreliable in terms of conveying a precise meaning, and what Sanskrit words are, and what English words can be used to create a definition of the Sanskrit word that doesn't distort its meaning. So this is a very important subject, otherwise known as etymology. Etymology is the source and origin of a word, but it's also its precise meaning. Here's a good example. What is the heart called? Well, in English, cardiac. A cardiologist is a heart doctor, cardia. Okay, so where did that word come from? Ask any English speaker, they'll say, I don't know. Well, here's the answer. Hridaya. The heart is known as Hridaya. That's where cardia came from, because the English came from the Latin, came from the Greek, which came from the Sanskrit. And this is the secret that has not been let out and has not been practiced and brought to its precision. And today that's what we're discussing. How to understand the original meaning. So here's cardia. We use it all the time, cardiologist. We don't know it's hridaya. And what is hridaya? The place where Hari is sitting. And who is Hari? The remover of all obstacles to our being, our true nature. There's even a song, Hari Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. So you see in the Vedic Vidya, the precision of the words is essential. And that's why Sanskritam is the language that has been most perfected. And our goal today, empowering proud Vedic ambassadors like yourselves with confidence and precision in representing the Vedic Library across the globe. Because this has been the missing component. Because of the era of colonization. During that time, the culture of Bharat, not India, Bharat, was disabled, robbed, pillaged, damaged, overcome. Why? Because the British had guns. That was the secret. Or it wasn't a secret. It was a loud, obvious reality. They came in and stole everything. And what is happening now is we are actually the outcome of that, the result of that. I am, you are, and each of us, you might say, is trying to get the correct story of what happened. And as I said before, learn to use the English language carefully so that it doesn't damage what? Sanskritam, the perfect, precise language. So what I'd like you to think is that precision is the basis of etymology. We're chasing the word back from layer to layer to layer to see where it came from. As I said, atomic in English, which did originally mean you can't cut it, atome, but it was cuttable, as it turned out. They split it. But at first they gave it that name, but they took the name from Sanskrit, Atma. Brahmarpanam, Brahma Agnau, Brahmahutam. The Atma can't be cut, destroyed, broken, bent, none of it. But we can forget that we're the Atma. And so what is yoga? Well, yoga is something that Atmas do. Well, why do they do it? Where are they? They're stuck in something called the gu. Really? I thought that was an English word. No, it came from Sanskrit. You know, the three gunas. Because it's the amount of gu covering the Atma. So inside of every body, every creature, humans especially, yes, but everybody. The Atma is inside of a shell of Prakriti, of Prakriti. Of the gu, in other words. We're gu. We're like, I call it chakra-covered Atmas. Not chocolate, but chakra. Because we have different energy centers in our body, don't we? But all of the distinctions we're going to make about this vehicle are going to be rooted in our knowing or not knowing that we are an immortal being. So, what does Christianity think? How many lifetimes? One. Judaism? One. Islam? One. Science? One. You see the problem? That's a lot of people thinking that we, and none of them know that we're called an Atma. You can't cut it, can't break it, you can't kill it. The Atma can't be killed. We're immortal. We cannot die. We can only think we did when our vehicle is broken. And so that's karma. So our material vehicle is called the karana. And it's made up of bhumir, apas, tejas, vayu, akash. It's made up of elements. Before science knew atomic elements, there were the Vedic elements, of which prakriti, iti. The material world around us is otherwise known as prakriti. But if you know these precise definitions, then it all starts to become clear. And the prakriti is constituted of this gu. And the gu has three states: the creative condition, the maintaining condition, and the destructive one. So this is rajas, here, creative, tamas, here, and sattva. Now we have the three gunas, because we are chakra-covered atmas. Good pun, right? We are atmas inside of a body that is temporary, made of gu, and the gunas are the three forces of prakriti, or the material realm surrounding us: the creative element, the destructive element, and the maintaining element, or process, three gunas. And all of these rules that are governing it are called the ritam, from which we get an English word in music, rhythm. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, that's the ritam. In other words, these are all precision characteristics of the realm of prakriti. So, who or what is responsible for that realm of prakriti? And now this is where the unfolding of the Veda story comes in. So now we need to know the Sanskrit word. This is all Veda. And what is Veda? Veda is a body of knowledge that has been sent through history in a language called Sanskritam, the perfect language that doesn't vary, whose meaning doesn't drift, and is always precise. No other language can claim that. No language on planet Earth can claim that. Not even Latin, not even Greek. As a matter of fact, although it's not admitted generally, those two languages came from Sanskrit. Because Bharat had been functioning as a culture for 20, 30,000 years, hundreds of thousands of years, very long. But again, this is not yet recognized by Western civilization, which has been preoccupied with itself. And we are in a Vedic Renaissance. That is what you are being offered an opportunity to be ambassadors for. And this discussion today will be with you the rest of your life, because it is, do you have a precise vocabulary that doesn't vary and is precision to describe who we are, where we are, and then what should we do about it? What is that called? Yoga. So what we're doing right now is actually a form of yoga. We're re-establishing our true identity. We're reconnecting to the ritam. So there comes that word. And the word in English, rhythm, is directly from the Sanskrit ritam. And ritam means the laws of Prakriti, which were obviously designed and functioned purposefully by a Purusha. That's Sanskrit. You can hear the word that came from that in English. Person. Ah. So person is fairly close to Purusha, except Pura Isha is more precise. Each Sanskrit word breaks down. Pra, Kri, Iti. That which is created exists for a while and then iterates, made redundantly again and again and again. What's it made out of? Goo. What are the different states of that goo? Creation, maintenance, destruction. The goo nas. And so what do we call action within Prakriti? Well, it's Kri, to do. But whatever you do comes back to you. That's how Prakriti is made. And that's our relationship. Goes around, comes around. So that karma within Prakriti, and each word that we add to this, and as I draw the picture, you're beginning to now do what's called Samkhya Yoga, the precise study of who we are, where we are, what we're made out of, what our options are here. So we didn't do much about the options. Well, once we're here, according to the Veda, there are 8,400,000 species of creatures inhabiting bodies. They're atmas inhabiting a particular kind of body. 400,000 of the 8,400,000 are supposedly human. And each one of us, that's what this means, I see your atma inside your made of gunas vahana, vehicle. This is my car. Oh yeah, and it comes from karma. Ah, so English didn't invent that word. But once again, this is what the revolution that's happening right now. This revolution, you will continue as ambassadors, or as I like to say, rambassadors. Ram, 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 Sita Ram. You are ambassadors for a science and a vocabulary. Now let's do that one. Vocabulary, wait a minute. Vocalize, isn't that English? Well, have you heard of a lady named Vak? Otherwise known as Saraswati? And her masculine partner is Brahma. So now we have a Shaktiman and a Shakti. Ah, so are you implying that the supreme beings who are responsible for everything are both male and female? Ah, because that's not in Judaism, not in Christianity, not in Islam, not in modern science. That's right. Only the Vedic culture insists upon this as true, because the evidence is all around us. Those males and females embodied all around us. But are they male and female inside? Jivara Swarupaya, they're Atmas, Niter, Krishna das. We'll get to that. This is a process called yoga. And yuj, or yoga, means to reconnect our true nature as Atma. But because we're Atmas within Prakriti, then we have to have a karana, we have to have a body. And it operates on karma. Goes around, comes around. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But modern science didn't invent that or discover that. They took it from the Veda. It's called karma. In fact, Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the American transcendentalists, who, by the way, back in the 18th century was reading the Bhagavad Gita. This is how the Vedas started making its way into the Western culture. And he was amazed. He was the son of a Unitarian Christian minister, and he gave up his job as a Christian minister because he read the Bhagavad Gita and began his journey. Unfortunately, at that time, he didn't have guru. So this is the progression that's been taking place. First, our culture, Bharat, was colonized. But then that knowledge started making its way into the culture of the colonizer. And that's where we are today. And what we're doing right now is somebody in a body who looks like a white Caucasian colonizer with British background. But this one has had a guru. Oh, there we go. So remember, while I'm speaking this way, it's only because Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat, Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri, Gurave Namaha. I didn't read books to learn this knowledge and think, no, I'm just reading a book. I had gurus, plural, of Jyotish, of Vedanta, of Veda, of Vedanga. And each of those gurus, which actually means heavy, doesn't it? And what are we called until we have Vedic Vidya? Lagu, less weighty object, a little light on the Vedic Vidya. But when we have this understanding, that's called yoga. I have a little humorous but truthful perspective on this, is that you'll notice that the British went to Bharat and stole Lakshmi. I said, she's still in their museum. And they stole Lakshmi. But Lakshmi and Vishnu are never separated. So wherever Lakshmi goes, Vishnu goes. Wherever Vishnu goes, Lakshmi goes. So they stole Lakshmi. She's still in the museums in England. Don't you think it's time they gave it back? I've been proposing they do. They should write a letter of apology, say, sorry, we stole all this from your temples. That was our ancestors. They were crazy. But we're sorry. Here, you should take it all back. What do you think? So we are immortal beings. Sanskrit is the most perfect language. English as a language is not precise because it's been a sloppy, materialistic activity that's been going on. So there are so many English words that are not precise. Religion, religare, reconnecting, okay. But who's inside the body? Soul. How many births does the soul get? One. You see the difference? In the Vedic culture, the Atma cannot die. The Atma will take birth and has already done the 8 million births of the species in the lower vehicles. So getting the language straight is becoming a scientist. This is the message today. And in science, Latin was used as the precise language for science. Well, what is the heart called? I told you. The cardia is the hridaya. So cardia is the Latin name, but hridaya, the place where Hari is sitting, and so is the Jiva Atma. That's the hridaya. We're sitting inside, looking out here, trying to take things in the material realm of Prakriti. And sitting next to us on the Vyasasana of our hridaya is Hari. It's Hari's daya, seat. That's what it means. Hridaya, the place where Hari is sitting. And sure enough, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this very thing. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate. Iti madva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvita. Machchita madgata prana. Bodhiyantak parasparam. Kathayantas chamam nityam. Tushanti cha ramanti cha. Tesham satata yuktanam. Bhajatam priti purvakam. Dadami buddhi yogam tvam. Kena mam upayanti te. That's chapter 10. Verses 8, 9, 10, and 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. I am the source of everything, Sri Krishna says. From me the entire creation flows. Knowing this, the wise adore me with all their heart. Their thoughts dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered unto me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted and adore me with purest love, I give the understanding by which they may come to me. Out of compassion for them, I, who am dwelling within their heart, destroy the darkness born of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. So you see, this is why the Abrahamic religions get nervous in the presence of the Veda. With no disrespect to them, I have a degree in comparative religion. I've studied them all. They all have some truth. But unfortunately, for their broader understanding, they still only think of one lifetime. And that makes everyone pretty uptight and nervous. They don't get it, that you can't die. Because yoga at that time, when those religions got started, had not come to them. So I'm always respectful to Judaism, Christianity, Islam. They're all trying to have understanding and knowledge of their source. So that's worthy of respect. But that doesn't mean I believe that they have the story correct. Because this is the difference. And this is where you come in as the next generation of truth tellers. You're not out to spread something. You're out to share something, but only when people are adhikari, when they're ready. And that sharing will be crossing the language barriers between Sanskrit, Sanskritam, the perfected language, and English, a sloppy, often useful, but very confusing and chaotic, and not very useful when it comes to profound philosophical vocabulary. Did I say vocabulary? Yeah, didn't I? Saraswati. Yakundendu Sarahara Davala. So let's talk about this. That was a mantra to her. But this vocabulary of yoga, Atma, Paramatma. Oh, by the way, the planet that we're on, is she called Earth? Well, guess what? The word Earth is from the Sanskrit word Artha. You know, Kama, Artha, Dharma, Moksha. So Artha, or doing something successfully, went into Latin and then became the Sanskrit Earth. But we know better, don't we? How about Mata Bhumi? Bhumi. And you and I are what kind of beings? Human beings. What are we made out of? Humus. Ah, so we're humus. Wait a minute, we're Bhumi beings. Yes. This planet isn't a planet, it's a being. Now we're moving into the territory of the Devas and Devis, as we did with Vishnu and Lakshmi, but just touched on it. But all the departments of Prakriti, all the places within matter, that function, have department heads. It's just like us. This show that we're in right now is only happening because of multiple beings with skills and abilities that make it possible for us to talk to each other at huge distances. This hasn't ever happened before in this method, with this simplicity, on Matabumi, that we know of. But you see, this technology implies a pretty smart person behind it. So, yeah, a pretty smart person known as Bhagavan, Sri Bhagavan, because Bhagavan and Bhagavati, masculine and feminine, ultimate, divine, Sri Krishna and Radha and the gopis. The Vedic culture is the most scientific. It invented science, culture on our planet. It is the only culture that holds the long view and sees that we, the inhabitant of this temporary material, we are immortal beings who cannot die. It's beyond what the religions tried to do. And they made everyone still very uptight and nervous and ready to fight instead of be gentle, because they only had one life. That's frightening. You only have one life, the clock's ticking. Tick, tick, tick. There's no explanation of how you got to where you are. You didn't buy this in a store, it just happened. You believe that? Or is it much more profound and reasonable and Mahatma? Does it give us a larger picture? And does it show us who we're looking at? A Jiva Atma inside of a shirt, a body. Made of what? Made of the elements of Prakriti. Bhumir, Apa, Tejas, Vayu, Akash, Manas, Buddhi, Ahamkar. Samkhya Yoga. The yoga of understanding who we are and what we're not. Not this, not this, not this, not iti, not iti, not iti, not iti. That's how you do it. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, not that. So this process of yoga rests upon Vedic Vidya, which rests upon Sanskritam, the most perfect language. And you, all who are listening, can decide to be one of the ambassadors of the Vedic Vidya. You're not spreading a religion. You're not trying to make somebody do something. And you're not just trying to point to one simple reality. Instead, you have a library called the Veda. And that library is filled with Puranas, with sutras, with Gitas. It's a huge resource, and it's in Sanskritam, the most perfect language. So this is, if you will, I would suggest how you go out into the world graduating from universities in Bharat with two ways, two kinds of knowing. One is the knowing of Prakriti, which is what an education is partly about. So keep it up. But secondly, or perhaps primarily, an understanding of who we are, of who everyone else is, so that we can actually act in such a way that this entire experiment, Matabumi, we can all live together, show each other respect, namaste. We can share this with others without converting them. We're not trying to own them, take them over, not like the one lifetime religions did. No, when they're ready, we share. We'll be guru, they're lagu, less weighty object. But we all were lagu at one time, and then we become guru again later. Why? Remember the ritam? Because there are laws governing all of this. And that's what real education is. But you have to have a scientific language to get a ritam, to get to understand the rhythm, the invisible laws of Prakriti that are all around us. And to do that, you have to have a scientific language otherwise known as Samskrita. And today, I'm just giving you an example of how to utilize this knowledge to be true to yourself and to everyone else, show them respect, and yet also show the sadhus and gurus of the past the respect that they hoped for, which is that what they gave will be shared. The Dharma, shall we do another one? Ri is ritam, right? So Kri is what you do based on the laws of Prakriti. Okay. So Kri, karma, is Ri, the ritam, the rules. And then Dri, dharma, is the same thing, but it's seen in terms of cause and effect relationships and goes around, comes around, and what action leads to what outcome, similar to karma, but dharma is the ideal. It's the Dri, or the ideal action where we cooperate with the many rules that are governing Prakriti. That's why the Vedas are not a religion, but it is run, now here's a big secret, by persons. Just as this call right now, us doing what we're doing without persons who are making it possible wouldn't happen. Those conducting it, doing various parts we don't even know about. So similarly, the devas and devis who are running the prakriti that is all around us are also persons, purusha. That's the part that the other religions have such a hard time with. They know there's angels. They sing about, oh, there's angels, angels, angels. But when you tell them about the devas and devis, they think you're trying to make competition for the supreme. No, it's the magnitude of the number of persons making it possible. Just like right now. How many people on Mata Bhumi, on this planet, are doing as a job something to save someone's life, to benefit them, put food on their table, to give them healing medicines, to do the roads so that they can do what they do. You see? So this is called seva, isn't it? Another beautiful Sanskrit word. And the kind of yoga, when you know that the ultimate being is a person, otherwise known as Sri Bhagavan. Oh, did I say a person? A couple? Radha Krishna, Brahma Saraswati, Shiva Durga. Oh, how about her? Prathamam Shailaputri cha Dvitiyam Brahmacharini Tritiyam Chandraganteti Kujmandeti Chaturtakam Panchamam Skandamanteti Shashtam Katyayaniti cha Saptamam Kalaratriti Mahagauriri Shashtamam Navamam Siddhidatri cha Navadurga Prakirtita Uktanye Tani Namani Brahmanaiva Mahatmanaha. One becomes a great Atma if they build a direct service seva relationship with Durga Ma, Mother Nature. English has the word Mother Nature, but they don't have a clue about Mother Nature. That's in the Veda. So there are many sincere people out there, if they're approached properly with the Vedic Vidya, they'll say, oh, those are the missing pieces. Those are the missing words. What a great vocabulary you have. Oh, we say, it's Saraswati. My gurus taught me this Vedic Vidya so that I could do seva, so that I could be of benefit to everyone. It's very beautiful, isn't it? A guru helps their chela to know the difference between the self and the guru. Pretty helpful.
Jeffrey G., you have about 5 more minutes, and I wanted you to make sure that you mentioned You started to go there, Bhagavan, and why you took out Lord and God from the Bhagavad Gita as a decolonized word. Would you mind?
Not at all. Thank you, Sandy. Sandhya Devi. She's like me, both have birth names and rebirth names. Where do you think I should start, Sandy?
Well, I would describe why God is a colonized word in the context of Vedic Vidya and why we should use Bhagavan, and why you took out Lord and put back in Sri Bhagavan into the Gita, why that's so important.
All right. Sounds great. Well, Lord, health lard, it's a very funny one, actually. Everyone uses the word Lord, and they think they're talking about some great being. But it's an old English word, and it's during the time when there was a lot of slavery in the world. And so the peasants of England, there were lords and ladies who owned the land, and the peasants worked the land, and they didn't get paid money. They got paid, and this is where the word came from, half-lard. Half-lard. Lord and lady in English are loaf lord. It's spelled H-A-L-F, hlaf lord and hlaf lady. The lady baked the bread. The Lord, not the Lord, kept the bread safe from being stolen and distributed it to the slaves. So it's one of those dubious English words. Lord and lady actually comes from slavery. And when the slave master hands out the bread, that's the Lord. And when the lady makes the bread, that's the laugh lady, the loaf lady. Who knew? There are so many English words that are like this. Another good one is heaven. And religion is also a good one. Re ligare. The word legal comes from ligare. And the laws of nature, we do call them that, don't we? Yeah, so legal system came from that. So religion is the laws governing Prakriti, re ligare. It's not a sectarian faith again. So the Sanskrit behind all of these terms comes with a correct philosophical understanding of who they are and what they do and what our relationship to them could be. And they're called the Devas and the Devis. Saraswati Devi is in charge of the ABC. And Mata Bhumi, Yasyam Samudra Bhuta Sindhurabo, each of them has songs. I love to sing to them, but we don't have enough time. But Mata Bhumi has a beautiful mantra, song to her. And this planet doing everything for us is not just Earth, not just Artha. It's not just happening blindly or because of laws. It's a person. This planet, Mata Bhumi, is a person. And we're called human because we're from her body, from her planet. And this is the great joy of Sanskrit. Atma, that's us. Paramatma, that's the being inside of all of this. Mata Bhumi, cause and effect. Kri, karma, to do, and the consequence that comes from that doing. Prakriti, where we are right now, the place where whatever you do comes back to you. Goes around, comes around. Guru and the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, creation, maintenance, destruction. The ritam, the rules of nature that we're studying as we try to cooperate with them. And this is called yoga. Yuj, getting connected to the very source, to your original nature, and then behaving here as an Atma, serving Paramatma and Matabhumi and the Devas and Devis, Shiva and Durga. All of this beautiful Vedic Vidya is twisted into the English language. And as you progress, you will learn to untwist it, just as I've been demonstrating today, that this sin, heaven, hell, bless, God, angels, all these words are all twisted English words that do not exactly describe what they're pointing to and sort of going, So this is the nature of linguistics and language. It's only that way because of Sanskritam. And if you pursue this, and if you learn the Sanskrit and learn to be precise, and then learn to reframe the English word so that it doesn't become a synonym to the Sanskrit word. And this is very important. So Devaloka is where the Devas and Devis live. But heaven and hell are the nice place, supposedly, and the horrible place, supposedly, where humans get sent. They win the prize or don't. That's not a very literate, very enlightening understanding. But to understand that in the Vedic culture, it says that the Jiva Atmas that have chosen to be selfish and destructive are called Asura. There's sun again, Surya, against the light. So Asuras destroy the planet, steal, harm everybody, behave badly. It's one of our choices. And we have 8,400,000 births to live, and we could choose to be any one of those. You can choose to be an Asura. In other words, the Devas and Devis who are running the planet, no, running the universe, the whole enchilada, the whole thing. Those Devas and Devis in the Jagat are adhering to the Ritam, the laws of nature. But they're Jiva Atmas, most of them, like you and I. So you and I could have been a Deva or Devi and come back now to be human. And if we don't do a good job of being human, we could go be an animal for a while. We could become an Asura and decide to live on human flesh. There are cannibals somewhere on our planet. And we could become a Deva or Devi, or deeply devoted to the well-being of all. Do you see? This is Mahatma. This is the big picture. This is what the sadhus and gurus of the Vedic culture have carried forward through history, through time, in the precise Sanskrit language, carrying it forward, chanting it, and giving it to each next generation, along with the understanding of how to live together on Matabhumi, to honor her and each other, to cooperate. And as I look around the world right now, this doesn't seem obsolete. I think that this Vedic Vidya that we've been discussing today will help you in becoming a Deva assistant. Wouldn't it be nice to get a job working for the Devas and Devis, doing beautiful things for the sustaining and correct embodiment of our planet, so that the chaos that we see around us can be clarified and brought to balance, and we can all start working with the rhythm. You got rhythm? When I studied the sitar, I learned Ravi Shankar had rhythm. There's so many great features of the Bharatiya culture.